My name is Nick Alonge, and I'm the Vice President of Sierra Dental Tool. Today we'll be talking about calculating the difference of Sierra Dental tools that make in your lab. So let's get started. So the big thing that we're going to go over is an overview. I'd like to talk about the workflow dependent on the tooling and how to get the most out of it. Other things we'll work on too is what you should be tracking for the metrics. How healthy is the machine that you're using? That's a big one because a lot of people don't keep the machine as clean as it should. So we'll get into that a little bit. Next is the production time management. Are you utilizing the time when it's milling to be doing other steps throughout the lab? Are you doing remakes or not? And then we'll move into the cost calculator, which I'll be presenting at the very end. Okay? So the key metrics that can improve that most people don't end up measuring, it's the labor. The labor cost it costs to actually do the case through the lab. You know, the design, we know that breakdown. We know what it costs to mill each unit. I'll teach you guys the cost of each tool itself, and then the labor to finish it out. Like if you have a remake, how much does that actually affect the lab? Steps that Sierra can help you improve on the milling side is the tools themselves. Big thing that most people don't do is they don't track all of their production when it comes to units. A lot of times they're just counting hours, sometimes they're just counting units, but it's good to know exactly how many units you're getting out. So we do an average of about 18 units a disc at one of the milling centers I ran. And from that, we were getting plus 1,000 units as we were milling. It was really impressive because we were using other tools as we were getting started back in 2010, and it was just taking a lot longer to do the production. I started tracking it on how come my guy is spending time putting in new tools, the machine's not running, we're starting to lose money because we're not producing. And in a milling center or in a lab environment, if you're not producing crowns, you're not going to be making any money. So that's where we're going to try to help out, is keeping production at its highest peak performance. Okay. Big thing here is the machine health. That's what we call the lowest hanging fruit, because if the machine isn't clean and maintained, you're going to get poor restorations off of it. So the tool itself ends up suffering from the machine being neglected in service, being neglected in keeping clean, calibrated. As we all know, zirconia in a dust environment is super abrasive. And I'll show you some examples of what it does. Like the collet that's rotating right now in the picture, that's worn out. So what's going to happen is the tool itself starts vibrating, and then your units are getting bad. So we replace the tools, seems to be going fine, but then the tool life is even shorter the next round. So the big thing that happened is we got collet wobble. It's starting to oscillate and get worse and worse and worse, and it can actually affect the machine itself, the spindle, the fixture. It has a vibration, can take out a ball screw. So there's a lot of other things here that we don't want it to happen because it was lack of maintenance. So calibration, you know, we don't want the mill to get out of whack. You know, that's a big thing that I always used to use, or my term is, you know, that thing's got wacky. It's not working as well as I was expecting it to. Why is that? You know, is it some other software issue, you know, a connector cable that's not right, whatever that's going on in the mill is not happening. So you've neglected to keep it clean, and that's what really causes our problems. And it really costs lab a lot of money on not keeping the maintenance schedule on all your mills. So I'm going to emphasize that a little bit as well. The big here is I'm going to try to stretch your tooling dollar. I'm going to try to take your tooling from like 30, 40 cents all the way down to 13 cents per unit. And that's what Sierra Tool offers for their customers. So you can average that out into your calculation of what your materials are costing you, your overall labor cost is costing you, your shipping fee is costing you. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're doing, you know, 300 or 400 units a week, it starts to add up pretty quickly. So I want to, you know, get the labs and, you know, doctors, if they have mills as well, help them be educated on what to do and what to look for when you start seeing issues. Big thing I see when I get phone calls is people replacing the entire set of tools when it was pretty much like the 1 millimeter that did all the work, or the 2 millimeter that gouged or did too deep of a cut, and now it's got some damage to it, but then you're milling all these restorations, and everybody always replaces all the tools all at once. It's better to take, you know, steps on paying attention to the units and seeing what's coming out. Internal remakes are a big, big money loser for labs. Big thing here is chip margins. You'll get that first on most situations, or surface texture issue as well. So if you start getting chips, of course, take the tools out, clean it, look with a microscope to make sure that the tools look good and see what caused it. See if it's, the 1mm. Look at the simulation to make sure that's not causing any issues as well, because there might be a weird design aspect that the margin offset is not at 0.2mm, it's at 0.1, or there's a feather edge that happened. So take a little bit of time to set up your workflow so your designs are not creating your lab issues, because that has happened with specific prep types that have a J margin in it, or feather margin in that situation, or a prep that has a high point or a sharp point. Maybe that needs some block out to compensate for that. I know a lot of people can do it digitally, but sometimes they miss it in digitally and then they scan it in and they design it, and then it doesn't want to fit because the tool that was getting into that little cavity was not going to fit. This happens a lot when we know veneers or inlays or onlays. So next, what we'll do, or to talk about that, is the average unit count. If you're tallying it all up and you start seeing chips, we recommend then dialing it back about 15 degrees with a new replaced tool. Let's say it's a 1mm, and go with that route and see how long it gets, continues to go. And it should get you back up to that 15% if the machine is healthy and everything's working fine. So some production trade-offs that a lot of people don't really consider here is mill time versus labor time. I've been in boutique labs that I worked at. I've been in my dad's lab, which was just a high production lab that ran milling centers. I've done a lot of support. So I've come across technicians that they all have their philosophy. They all want to do what makes them happy. So the two schools of thought here are, do we have the machine and the CAD do everything? Or do we have, our high-end ceramist and technician and glazer do some other work when it comes to carving the anatomy or doing some surface texture techniques? If you want to go with the mill time, you need to be a little bit, idea when it comes to the design. Are you going to use the anatomy that has a 0.6 or a 0.3 that gets it way more detailed? Or are you just sticking with the 1mm finishing, and then it goes to post-production, and then they carve in the anatomy? So depending on what the lab that you are at, your philosophy and what you do, just be aware that there's two ways to do this. The other one that we brought out to the market is a high-performance roughing tool. What this does is it rapidly removes PMMA for those temporary cases or try-in cases, so you're not milling for 4 hours. We brought it down to under 2 hours for that same situation just from the roughing. So that helps the lab get their production through the facility a little bit quicker, okay? Now, why is Sierra the obvious choice? Well, we've been around for over 15 years. We specified in engineering specific tools for the dental materials. We put on a world-class coating with a specific CVD for the zirconia oxides that are Yitra-based here in the dental industry. Reliable nano die, that's our CVD tool. We've got our razor sharp tools, which are our carbide with a special flute angle in it, a special blend angle. And then we've got our Tyco, which is a special coating that goes for titaniums and chrome cobalts. And then last but not least, the G-Max tools, which are our grinder tools that work in glass ceramic materials. All of these are available exclusively through Zahn. So please reach out to any of your sales reps and just ask if they have the tool for your machine, if it's available, the quantity. Put your tools in, give us a shot to see what you think about these tools, because you'll notice a big difference from the tool that you're currently using to the quality of your restorations coming out when using a Sierra dental tool. We're going to move into another little thing. This is more on the math side here. Zirconia versus tool usage cost calculator. So I've had this question many years, even before I started working here, about how many tools go in each machine. So we broke it down for the most popular machines that we have here in the US currently. AG running 3 tools, IMES, iCore running 3 tools. Dent Mill, they use 5 tools, so be aware of that. Roland, it's anywhere between 3 and 4, depending on your distributor. Sirona runs a 3-tool system, and then Wheelan VHF runs a 3-tool system unless you click on high definition for that 4th tool. Most of these tools are run with a 2 or a 2.5mm roughing tool. Then they go to step down to a 1mm, which is a finishing tool or rest machining tool. Then it goes down to a 0.6, which is more of a rest machining, and also the 0.3, which is the final finish machining when it comes to those high detailed restorations. So this is the cost calculator. I'm gonna actually bring up the actual cost calculator and present it. This is just a slide to show you guys. Give me 1 second so I can load that up. I have that. So as you guys can see here in our cost calculator, some of the cool things that we have here, oops, go back, my bad. Is this still being shown, this particular screen, you guys?
We see the cost calculator.
Okay, good, because the other cost calculator is built into my presentation. It doesn't let me show it off or demo it. So
yep, good.
As you guys, if you inquiry about the tools, go ahead and talk to your sales rep, and they have a copy of this, and they can go through and do a demo for you as well, or you can call me and I can walk through you. What we have here is all the machines that we've tested our tools and validated our tools in, from Roland, Origin, IMES, Detmill, Armin Gerbach, 3M. So we'll choose a Roland tool set. So we'll go a 52 series that runs a 4-tool system. What we've noticed, the average cost on tools is $75 against the market right now. Our cost has come down, so now we're at $124.99 for a set of tools. I know that there's some price points and specials over the summer to buy bulk and get better pricing on that. But what we'll do is we'll go with 0 discount for now. We've tested against another competitor, and they only got 400 units out of this. We did 1,000 because that's an easy number for rounding, but we get closer to 1,200 on the 1 millimeter and closer to 2,000 on the 2 millimeter and the 0.6. So keep that around when you guys are ordering tools, that you should be ordering more 1 millimeter tools than any of the other tools. Okay. Now in here, cost per unit 75 cents because I've included the price of the zirconia in here. We're using Zerlux material. If you decide to choose other materials, we do have a selection of other materials. I'll go a little bit slower so you get to see all the ones that we have tested over the last 15 years with these materials. So when I tell you that we've tested this material, I've been involved in this since 2010 in our facility, testing this material, testing the tools and different materials and different machines that we offer. We also have some beta test labs around the US that give us the detailed information as well. We're pretty stringent about what we want to see with it. So they give us on a monthly basis of what units they're cutting, how they're cutting it. They get photos for us and stuff. So it's pretty nice detailed for us. We'll move back into this. So you'll see cost per month. As we break down, we're going to do 1,000 units per month. It's a basic lab size. They're spending about $9,000 in tools and zirconia on this compared to $5,900 because we save so much in tools. Now this is a yearly savings of $3,000 just from changing from one tool to the next. Now we're going to add a whole nother cost analysis to this here. What does your operations cost to do a tool change when there's a mistake or there's a chip or something else went wrong? Because in milling, you actually have 3 cases that's going on. You have to remill the case that messed up, you lose the case that should have been in its place for production, and then you have to remill the case that was missed. So you're actually losing about 3 crowns when you have a remake. So leaving the tools in or having tools that are there and give you quality restorations actually last a very, very long time, and you won't have to worry about that. So what we'll go in here is, I was talking to a couple of my lab friends, and what they usually have 4 people working in the CAM department. A couple guys designing, 1 guy nesting, 1 guy running the mill, but they all help each other out when it comes to this. So I used all 4 of their salaries to compensate for this because production will stop at a standstill when the machine's not running. So we averaged out about $100 an hour. We did a 10-minute tool time on a Roland. That seems to be the average these days. So we're looking at how many times you're changing out per year using a 400 unit capability tool. That's 30 times a year. That's a lot of downtime if you think about it, times 10. So what we're doing here is we're only doing 12 tool changes, which is a big difference between the two. When we break down the saving, it's $300 a year in labor costs you're saving. So you're saving tax, you're saving retirement, you're saving the salary that you're paying them, all just from the tool change out. So it actually comes out to like a $3,300 a year savings for going to a more expensive tool that lasts much longer and your restorations come out much nicer. So I'm going to end with this. I'd like for you guys to reach out to me if you have any questions. And to do that, we'll bring up my last page, my last slide, because I got to make this nice and sweet and simple for everybody today. My name again is Nick Alonge. Please use my cell phone for text messaging and calling. It's much easier to get a hold of me. I've realized my office line sometimes when people try to reach it, it goes through a system and it might not ring my cell phone. I will get back to you at my earliest convenience, but it has happened where it doesn't load for a couple days until I log back in, and then I can get the voicemails that come there. So it's a little better to use my cell phone. Email is another really neat way to send pictures and communicate through that, because then I can document it and keep a folder for you. There's two websites I'd like for you guys to both view. Of course, the Sierra Dental website, and it's sierradentaltool.com. And it has all the variety of mills that we do, the tools, their item numbers that you can order through Zahn there. So you can get the item number and call your rep and have it all ready to go for a quick seamless. Also, you can go to the Zahn website, and now you can order them on their website as well. So if you don't want to talk to anybody, or at lunch and you want to just text, find it on the internet and put it through that way, I think you might have to have an account set up that way, but it is very, very smooth transition to do that. Now, for an education purpose, we have the We Team Up -dental website. We've compiled, many years of research, tool terminology, interviews with people in the industry. It's kind of a neat website just to get lost in. It was really fun to do a lot of the videos during COVID, even though it was a bad time. Got a lot of individuals to talk to. It was wonderful. So at that time, if you have any questions, please email Zahn with their website. And then if you have any questions that you want to ask me directly, go ahead and email me at nalonge@sierradentaltool.com. And I look forward to hearing you guys, hearing from everybody. So thank you very much. Have a great afternoon. Have an awesome summer, everyone.